I'm speaking with Jason Edwards of Revenue Matters. Jason is a certified revenue management executive, and we met at the HSMI Leadership Conference back in September. I think you're really in for a treat today. We're going to go over some very detailed advice, revenue management advice, and I just really recommend everyone listening. If you want to know how to make sure your hotel is doing well in a flat or even a struggling economy, this is it. So, Jason, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for inviting me to talk today.
And can you tell us just a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your experience so people can get a sense of who you are?
Yeah, I've been working in the hospitality industry since the late 90s, and most recently for the last 13 years or so, been working with revenue management, doing a lot of branded hotel work within a management company, Marriott, Hilton's, and Hyatt's, and independent hotels, and I've branched out recently over the last year and a half to being more in a consulting role and working with a lot more independent hotels across the country and across the water some. So I've been working revenue management for a long period of time. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily the long-term expert, but there's been a lot of new trends and everything, and as things move forward, you got to learn to adapt and pay attention to what's going on. It's all about the here and the now and what you're going to do in the future.
Well, great. Again, thank you so much for your time. We're really fortunate to have you here. And I would like to start off with really the elephant in the room. We all know that the hospitality business is cyclical, and while demand is at all-time high right now, new supply and mini markets and growth of alternative accommodations threatens that ability for traditional lodging operations to continue to grow occupancy. So what steps should operators take right now to shore up their existing business? What's your point of view on that?
Well, as you said, demand growth is at all-time highs right now. It's growing about 1.6% right now, but with recent forecasts and even current trends, occupancy for 2016 is expected to be flat. ADR is still expected to be above the 3% range. But as we move into 2017, there's a look that occupancy could be down just a little bit, just under the 0% range, but ADR is still expected to grow anywhere from 3 to 4%, depending on whose projections you're looking at. But one of the big challenges that's coming into play right now is there's a lot of new supply coming into markets. Some markets have already experienced a lot of that. Others it's still to come. Construction rooms are up 35% right now based on STR data. Under contract rooms up 24%, and majority of the rooms that are coming in are select service, upper upscale, and upper mid-scale segments coming in. So 66% of that is coming there. So as you can see, there's very few properties that are coming in that have a lot of meeting space. So it's more of those mid-scale hotels that a lot of the brands out there are developing right now, and those will be the competitors. One of the many things that you can do to help shore up your business is really focus on having a major sales effort. Do you have the right salespeople in place? Are they proactive in nature, or are they sitting behind a desk doing paperwork or getting too involved in operational aspects of the hotel? They need to be out finding new pieces of business. They need to be talking to your current customers, building those relationships, making sure they're happy, finding out about that new piece of group coming or a new piece of contract work that's coming. They need to be out there finding that stuff. So if you're building relationships, that's going to help you out there and having the right person in place. Another piece that while they're out there talking to is making sure they got the right rates for each of those particular customers. If you have two accounts, one's getting 100 room nights a year and the other's doing 300 and then paying the same amount, that's not logical. You really need to be rewarding that customer that's giving you more rooms or taking the rate up on the customer who's not giving you as much. So working with the customers, building those relationships will help turn that 100-room account into a 300-room account. But you got to be out. You got to be out talking to your customers and relating with them. But also focusing on repeat business or past business you've had. If you've got a quiet December coming up, what have you done to look into the Decembers before to see what kind of business you had and gone after that repeat business to get it? If you're not going after it, your customers are going after it, so you got to be focused on that. And when all those customers get to the property, it's really about the customer experience. What kind of service is they being provided by your frontline folks? Are they getting the proper reviews and everything put out there and encouraging customers to talk about your hotel? And from that aspect, really making sure you're engaged in social media, making sure you're responding to reviews, getting out there doing Facebook and other opportunities like that, putting newsletters out and getting communication out to those customers that stay with you so that you're constantly top of mind for those customers and as the economy goes down, the occupancy drops and eventually ADR drops. They're still going to be thinking about your hotel because you're still engaging them. You're focused on getting that extra business. So that's what's really going to help you set up your business moving forward.
And that really brings us to the point of loyalty and how we define loyalty. How do you see it changing going forward?
Yeah, loyalty is a very big topic these days, especially in the last several months with all the brands rolling out their members-only discounts to encourage customers to book on their websites for discounts versus going with the OTA partners out there. And there's really three segments of loyalty out there right now. You got those customers that are loyal with the brands, have always been loyal to brands and will always be there. And you have those customers that are very loyal to the OTAs and their membership programs and just always enjoy booking on that same OTA partner every year for every stay that they do. The piece of the pie right now that everyone's fighting over is those customers that are in the middle they're not loyal to a booking channel or even a brand. They may always book on a brand site, but they're not agnostic to which brand they're interested in going. So they're going to take a look at what suits them for that particular time period, and that's where a lot of the opportunity is coming into play, and each of the brands is trying to go after that. And one of the challenges with this brand loyalty push right now is that customer sitting there may now have a membership program for each one of the big brands, and all the brands are reporting membership being up, but that membership going up is the same for each one of them. So that customer is still going to be looking out there to find out what benefits them the most. So what do you do from a brand level, even more specifically a property level, is focus on those customers that stay with you frequently. Talk to them. What is it that brings them to your particular hotel? What more can you do to help draw those customers in, even from another one of your brand partners? Is it just a simple little extra appetizer once a week or a social or something like that helps make them feel more valued and will keep coming back to your hotel, but not only them coming back, but bring that extra person in that's traveling with them that one particular week to stay at your hotel. So brand loyalty is a big challenge out there right now, and it'd be interesting to see how it moves forward and what really comes of it all.
I see. Those are some great insights. Thank you so much. Switching gears just a little bit, STR came and talked with us, and they showed us a graph that kind of made some comparisons between 2007 and what we're seeing in 2016. Obviously, there's different motivating reasons underneath that economy, but basically when ADR goes up, occupancy drops. So with projections for 2017 and beyond calling for occupancy levels to plateau in most markets, do you think we'll experience the same drops in ADR across the entire industry?
Initially, we'll see that ADR will hold. In some markets, it will hold better than others, but as it always happens, there's always that one hotel in the market who is the first to take their rates down, and what happens is the race to the bottom in that particular market. And this is caused by several different factors. One of the first pieces here is really about inexperienced operators. You have an owner or a GM or a revenue manager, a sales individual who just really doesn't understand their hotel, the mix of business that they're getting, or don't have a proper sales effort in place to help build the base of group and local accounts that you need. And the other part of it, too, is how well is the hotel distributed among all the different channels? You may think you have a channel open with the OTA, but there could be some technical challenge that's been there for months or even years that hasn't been discovered because that hotel or that individual just doesn't have the skill set to understand that. Another piece that comes in really in play is more from the owner perspective down to the hotels is unrealistic budgets. I've worked with many owners out there with different focuses. Some owners are really focused on revenue. Others are focused on ADR, and others are focused on occupancy. And if budgets are created based on saying, hey, I want a 10% occupancy increase, but all the numbers and the trends in the market and the forecasting in the market says that occupancy is going to be a 5% down, that budget right there automatically is being set up for failure. And when things are not being reached at the levels of expectations in the budgets from the owner perspective or management perspective, pressure is being put on those folks who are actually running the hotel. And they're going to react to what they're yelling at because it's human nature. You want to alleviate your trouble. So if it helps you out by dropping your rate so you can drive your occupancy to make someone happy, you're going to do that regardless of the impact of what the true bottom line to your hotel or even the impact in your market. So once someone does that, everyone else reacts to that point. And research has shown that if that first person does it and another person does it, and if you don't join in on taking the rates down, you end up losing more revenue than you would if you join that pack of folks. So the whole market as a whole will lose revenue, but individual hotels will lose less if they join in on rates going down. And the question is when. Who's going to be that first person? When is it going to happen? Well, one market in one state might be right now. Another market in that same state could be 6 months, 12 months, 13 months, or 2 years out before it happens. So it's really based on many factors out there, and the question comes up, when is it going to be your turn?
I see. That is the question. But whether it happens this year, next year, or the following year, in any market, there are winners and there are losers. So what type of properties are most vulnerable during periods of soft demand, in your opinion, and which ones should have less to fear? What's your experience there?
Yeah, those that are most vulnerable, and kind of goes back to what I've talked about before, is those that don't have a good sales effort. You really have to be focused in on building your base. Sales is a funnel for a hotel, whether a revenue manager likes to say it or not. They are part of the puzzle. There's the transient demand, you got the sales demand from the group side and the BT side of things. So if you don't have a strong effort there, you're only half your funnel open. So making sure you got a good quality sales team there, and another piece of it too is making sure that sales and revenue management talk on a regular basis. If revenue managers are going and doing one strategy and sales managers are trying to do another strategy, those strategies are going to fight each other and hurt the total hotel. So it's all about working together. As much as there's a divide and focus on sales versus revenue management, it should be sales and revenue management working together. How do you do that better? And the other piece of the puzzle too, I've seen hotels that if you don't have a good, strong group base, you're going to struggle. Your competitive set could have a 10 percentage point premium on a group business on any given week, and that 10% can make a major difference in your results versus your competitive set. So those are the hotels that are going to be more vulnerable. The least vulnerable ones are really going to be those that have moderate to large meeting space, those who can attract the guest rooms in by offering discounts on meeting space so they can get their guest rooms filled, or even in the larger meeting space perspective, if they can't get all their catering rooms filled up, meeting rooms filled up based on group rooms, they can also sell some catering business to help offset some of that. Hotels in leisure destination markets tend to do fairly well depending on the economy. Leisure travelers still like to go on vacation. They may not travel across several states to go on vacation, but they may travel an hour or two down the road and spend time. It's all about those particular customers and those markets that are really going to help sustain a hotel. You may not be doing as well as you had in the past, but you'll be doing better than other markets in the country. And leisure always seems to be most resilient. Corporate and group business in the last two downturns have been the last to return, so they are always a factor there. And the other piece of the puzzle here too is there are hotels out there that have strategic partners. They may have a financial partner that's helped invest and build the hotel that has rooms in the market, and that particular investor has guaranteed, I'm going to give you 300 rooms a month for the next 5 years to help ensure that their investment pays off for them in the long run. Or there could be a major building or company that's attached or right around the corner from the hotel that's been a long-term asset for the hotel, and those particular hotels will always do well. So it's all about understanding where you sit in the spectrum, evaluating yourself. How's your sales effort? How do your competitors compare? How do you sit in the leisure market or more of a business market? And focus in on what can you do to stem off those challenges and not become one of the most vulnerable hotels in your market.
Wow, Jason, you've given me so much to think about, and I know I'm going to go back and listen to this 5 or 6 times. I really recommend everybody here do that as well. I mean, a 15-minute video might sound like a lot, but this right here, it's an entire year's worth of professional advice. So thank you so much, Jason. Can people reach out to you? How can they get in touch with you if they have questions on what you've covered here?
I appreciate the time you gave me today, and I can easily be reached. You can find me on LinkedIn. Search for Jason Edwards with Revenue Matters, and I can also be reached in my email address, pretty easy email address for you here, Jason, at revenuematters.com, or you may also find us at revenuematters.com. Any one of my colleagues will be glad to talk to you as well. And we appreciate the time you gave us today.
Thank you so much, and looking forward to seeing you at the next leadership conference.
I look forward to it as well. Thank you.